kind of random.
Apparently, they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a because Twitter's not a real place.
Twitter? Oh no, don't be trying to Twitter me, boy.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to another season of Hip Hop Twitter. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. With me, you know him, you love him. Maybe you pronounce his name wrong, but wrong is right in this situation. Yinz.
What's happening? Happy to be back, ready to get this going.
Right, all right. And this podcast, along with other podcasts, are brought to you by the supporters over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. Yinz, what the fuck could people be talking about on Twitter this week?
Kendrick Lamar is one album away from passing Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie.
Oh.
And he's low-key already better, according to this tweet.
Oh. Where shall I start? I think it's tough to say that, man. Like, it's too. First of all, this is some bullshit, okay? First of all, because it just sounds like it was just said to incite a riot in some regards. Or does this person have a point? I can't say that Kendrick is better than those three because I think Kendrick is so different, especially now, that he's almost in a class by himself where you kind of got to compare him to people who have a similar style. Jay-Z, Nas, and Biggie can be compared because I think their sound and what they talk about is relatively the same, especially Big and Jay. But when you throw Kendrick in there, his style is like, I don't know. If you had to put him in a rap style category as far as flow, you know, you put him with the Pharoah Monches and the Eminems and maybe even the Black Thoughts to a certain extent, the Tech Nines or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like just the way he switches up flows. I don't know. I don't believe that. I can't say he's better than them or have surpassed them. What do you think?
I'm right with you. I immediately was like, nah, I can't do that either. As much as I like Kendrick, I can't do that. He's a lot different than the three MCs that this person's comparing him to. He's still got years to go. As you know, he's got to put out a lot more projects, in my opinion, you know, to be even considered in that. And by the looks of it, after this last album, seemed like it's gonna be a bit of a hiatus. Again, I think it'll be long. I think it'll be longer. It'll be longer than what, you know, everybody saw leading to this album. So, and I don't think he's necessarily even concerned with that. You know, this is all fan talk, which is all good. You know, I think we, as fans, we make comparisons here and there amongst MCs and artists that we like, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with this statement.
Yeah, just I don't know. It seems kind of weird. Now, I mean, the thing is I agree with you. Like with Big, he was killed when he was in his 20s, right? So technically, he only has 2 major albums, and then he got a bunch of mixtapes off, right? So it's difficult to put Kendrick against him. Jay-Z and Nas, well, they've kind of raised the bar for longevity, and especially Nas with this run with Hitman. So not Hitman, Hit Boy. Hitman is someone else, or that's a video game. One or the other. Shut the fuck up. But when you look at the longevity, it's hard to say he surpassed them because they're not done yet. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely right. What will a 50-year-old Kendrick sound like? Will a 50-year-old Kendrick even be recording music? That's still left to be heard.
I think somebody on Twitter or one of the social media sites said it best. They could see Kendrick not even having another album after this one and being somewhere randomly playing the flute in the streets like 3 Stacks. And that's true because he's gotten to the point where he's so driven by life and inspiration for the things around him. He already talked about having a 2-year writer's block. He just gave you a double album. I could see him never coming out with something or giving you a feature here and there, like 3 Stacks, right? And maybe a song here and there, but another album, I don't know, maybe an EP. What else are people talking about on Twitter?
Why did black folks accept Eminem but not the Beastie Boys?
What? Who the if I had to guess, I think there's more black folk that accept the Beastie Boys than there are that accept Eminem.
1000%.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Beastie Boys were accepted from the gate. Eminem is a polarizing figure. I think what some hip hop heads don't like, really, that they really don't want to get to the meat of what they have to say, is not necessarily. I mean, it's their prerogative. If they don't like his content, I get that. They don't like that their favorite rappers like him. That's what they don't like. They don't like that their favorite rappers give him that much props because they have a narrative, right? He not messing with the locks. But when they see people like Styles P, like, yo, M is crazy, or Jadakiss is like that irks them. So I don't know. This person ain't a hip hop fan, or they're really young, because I don't ever remember people in hip hop rejecting the Beastie Boys at any point. What do you think?
I mean, I think one thing that might be a little bit of a factor is once the Beasties kind of turned and went back kind of to their roots, so to speak, because they were a punk band originally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So after the first release, maybe the second, they kind of got away from what we consider to be traditional hip hop music. Now, the Beastie Boys rep hip hop better than a lot of groups. I mean, Beastie Boys toured one of the greatest DJs, Mixmaster Mike. The Beastie Boys show is very hip hop orientated. I don't know where that comes from. I think that's more about, like you said, it's more about people's reaction and feelings towards Eminem. They a lot of the people who I think they might be like secret Benzino fans. So they're riding with Benzino, with their feelings on Eminem in a lot of ways, kind of poking fun at him. But I've never heard anybody that I know say, like, I can't stand the Beastie Boys, or especially when they first came out. I mean, that first album, you'd be hard pressed, in my opinion, to find people who didn't originally like the Beastie Boys. I think it was only after the Beastie Boys kind of went back to their, punk band roots that a lot of maybe the early fans kind of stepped away from the music. But I mean, it was always sample heavy, live instrumentation, of course, because they play instruments themselves. But they always had like a little hip hop within the music, even when it did turn away, so to speak. So yeah, it's kind of a weird take, but I thought it was funny, like, to say black people. I always find that kind of funny, why did black folks why did black folks, accept Eminem but not the Beastie Boys? Beastie Boys was first.
They were first.
Yeah.
They were probably the first nationally recognized white boys in hip hop. Like, yo, they're hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there were a couple sprinkled here and there. Well, first of all, who is a Benzino fan? Like, you buying them light skinned Bulldog records? You buying them? You buying them joints? The old
light skin.
Dog. Like, come on now. This is the thing, Yance, because it brings up another topic, right? And the Beastie, and I never thought about this, but you're right. The Beastie Boys maybe gave you 2, maybe 3 albums, but mostly 2 albums of straight up where hip hop grew. And then, like you said, they eventually, and that's when they became even bigger. They eventually went off to back to their roots, which wasn't
Right.
traditionally hip hop. House of Pain did the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This dude who I ain't never really rock with like that anyway. Post Malone did that. A couple of white hip hop artists did that, and especially those more recent artists that have done it. We've called them out, right, for using hip
Right.
hop to launch their careers, right? Because Beastie Boys wasn't a famous punk band; it was a famous hip hop. Same thing with House of Pain.
Right.
But Eminem ain't never done that. And that
No.
maybe that's what this person is trying to say. But
I think that's a good point.
I don't.
That is a
We
good
still
point.
look at the Beastie Boys as hip hop, regardless.
Right, no question. Like I said, Beastie Boys rep for hip hop hard. They do. Even though the music changed, I don't think they ever turned their back on hip hop culture like that. You know, you brought up some examples of people more recently that that argument could be said where you was rocking with the coach at first, but then when you skyrocketed, you kind of changed up. I think that's a good point when you talking about some more current artists, but I don't think I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that about the Beasties.
Yeah, that tweet. Anything else happening on Twitter? So, what do you think about those tweets on hip hop Twitter? Do you feel like black people are more accepting of Eminem than they are the Beastie Boys? This is hip hop Twitter, and we have taken this show and moved it separate from the Hip Hop Now podcast stream. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm subscribed to Hip Hop Now podcast, well, you can also now subscribe to Hip Hop Twitter separately, because this is where the podcast will appear. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts. On behalf of the homie Yentz, I'm Vegas. Until next time, watch your mouth and watch your tweets. And wash your hands too. We still on that. Peace.
Drop it on the random.